Hi guys, and welcome to the finale of reading 50 books in 50 days. This is the last time we're doing it, and so let's just hop right in. So for context, if you aren't already aware, I've spent the last month kind of catching up on my mini-series that I started over the channel over the last summer, wherein I've been reading 50 books in 50 days. That's the goal essentially. But when I originally started it over the summertime, I kind of got burnt out making short form content every single day for it, which is why I switched over to long form. And the way I'm going about it is kind of by breaking it up week by week to hit our 50 goal target. And so if you do the math, it comes up to 7 weeks of reading continuous books every single day to hit 50 books. And funny enough, this is week 7 currently going. We're just starting it today and whatnot. We'll be reading books 43 to 50. So all the last ones, we'll be reading 7 plus 1 extra, because actually 7 times 7 makes 49 and we want to hit 50, which is why for the next 8 days, you'll be locking in with me for the finale of this challenge as we read the last little books that we'll be reading in this lot, kind of every single day, locking in together, mood reading my TBR, getting through with the books, but also finishing the challenge. So again, a special bittersweet moment overall, but it's finally happening. So here we are, that's what we're doing today, and there's all the rest of the videos in the series out at this point if you want to go catch up on it and see how the rest of it's been going. So you can definitely go look them up and see them. I'll have them on screen for you. But regardless, yeah, since this is the finale, I don't want to do anything too crazy. I just want to have a good time reading and hopefully find some really fun books, which is why let's just hop right into our first book for today. I will go start it right now and see how it goes, and hopefully it'll be a good one, because last week's video did put me in a bit of a slump, and all I'm praying for at this point is a good book. So we'll just have to see how it goes, but that's what we're doing today. Hi guys, so it's now the same day. I have gone ahead and finished book 1 for this video, and all I'll say is I don't know why I keep changing genres when I know something's working for me, because if you watched last week's video, I posted it like I think last night or whatnot. That one specifically, I started reading thrillers in it, had the best time, swapped the genres, was having the worst time. Same story goes with last week's video, and so going back to thrillers now, I don't even think I want to swap anymore. This time I think in this video all we're going to do is read thrillers, because I read one more, spent my evening listening to it, and all I'm going to say is mind is blown. I had such a great time overall, and so I've come in to kind of update and discuss. Basically, since the last time I came in and spoke during my intro, I locked in with an audiobook, the one specifically of The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, and started listening as I was working on my journal, because I do want to be posting that video sometime soon, because I keep saying it's going to happen and it's just not happening, which is why this week I want to lock it and make sure it really happens. But I was working on some spreads, cutting up some photos for my 26 books in 26 and other things I needed and whatnot, and so as I was doing all of that, heard my book out, and all I'm going to say is I know I don't necessarily like Riley Sager books. I haven't had the best experience in the past with his. I take everything back. After having listened to this one, I need to go back and go through his entire backlist, because this was so good. I've changed my opinion on him as an author now. Basically, follow this woman called Casey, and she's like this glamorous actress, except she has like personal tragedy that happens in her life. Her husband kind of dies in this like horrible accident and whatnot, and she was very in love with him. So now she's trying to kind of cope with the loss of losing him and struggle with everything else, and now she's also dealing with like alcohol issues and whatnot, and so she kind of gets sent away by her mom and whatnot, but also it's kind of like her own personal decision to sequester herself away in their family lake house. And it's like this huge big mansion. She comes from a rich family, by the way, and so she'll be fine there all by herself, lonely in the countryside, so there isn't like too much of temptation and whatnot, but at the same time kind of finding peace and serenity in life again. And so everything's supposed to be fine, except as she's going about living her life, still kind of struggling with alcohol and everything else that comes with it, there's this couple that moves across into the house across the lake, basically Tom and Catherine, and they're like again the it couple and whatnot from the magazines and whatnot, because Tom is this like tech guy and Catherine is like a model, and they're like glamorous and like charming and everything she and her husband could have been if he lived. So she develops this like weird obsession with like kind of using her binoculars to kind of stare at them and just keep watching everything that goes on within their house and whatnot, because it's all like made of glass and stuff, just because maybe she's like mourning the life that she could have had, or maybe she's just like got this weird thing when she just wants to keep watching. But as all of that starts happening, she actually realizes that their marriage is not as perfect as it seems, because on the outside it's picture perfect, but when you look within the cracks, it looks like they're having like struggles and issues. And then one day, as it turns out, Catherine goes missing. So now she's taken it upon herself to kind of figure out what went down, because she was watching them the entire time, and suddenly, you know, heard screams in the night, wakes up in the morning, Catherine is nowhere to be found. She's trying to track her, she's trying to figure out where she went up to, she's trying to figure out who's behind it and what happened to her, if she can recover her body. And all I'll say is, this book is insane. If you want to, and if you're a daredevil, kind of read it or listen to it as you're home alone. I was home alone today, and as I was listening, I was joking, I really wanted someone to come back home because I didn't want to be all alone as I heard this, because this was freaking me the shit out. And all I'll say about the plot twist, because there were multiple, is the fact that this is so unlikely that I don't think there'll be a world where someone actually unironically, organically like guesses it. But if you did, good for you. For me, I did. So kudos to me for being dumb again, because this one, it caught me so off guard, and I judge my thrillers on the basis of how their plot twist is, if it really catches me and if it's insane. And this one really was, because I know, again, it was a crazy out of the box plot twist, but it kind of makes sense with the clues he laid out and with the atmospheric setting and everything. It worked for me. So this one I had a surprisingly good time with, because I was giving his books one last shot with this one, thinking that if I don't like it, I know I'll never get back to them. But now that I know I enjoyed this, I can't wait to read more. So if you've got recs similar to this one specifically by him, please comment them in the comment section for me, because I want to read more. This was so good and I loved everything about it. And again, insane. I'm still reeling from like the shock and whatnot, and it's again such like a weird plot twist, but the way it works for the book is so insane. And BookTok is right about this one. So if you haven't read it, go read it. If you want something getting you out of a slump, this is perfect, because we saw in last week's video that any book didn't work for me. I wasn't having the best time, but this one truly pulled me out of it, and suddenly I want to consume books faster and more than ever before, which is why this is perfect. I'm gonna give it 4 stars, and I'm so happy I got to it now, because again, insane book. If I keep thinking about it, I might have to up that rating, but so far it's amazing too, because I haven't had a good 4-star book for a while now, and so this definitely hit the mark. It definitely checked all boxes, and it was a fun time overall. Now I'm actually gonna go down and have dinner, and then maybe tonight I'll start like an early lock-in and whatnot on tomorrow's book, because at this point I'm having such a good time journaling that I'm not happy with myself about the fact that I put it off for so long. I just have a couple things to finish and I can post that video and whatnot, but also because I want to set up my 26 journal, and none of that has begun yet. So I'm thinking I want to like start another audiobook and journal late into the night, have like a peaceful chill session with myself. And so as I'm doing that, we will start tomorrow's book early, and we'll see how that goes. But hopefully we find another banger of a book again tomorrow like we did for this one, because it was so good. And here we are. I'll say I've got this weird thing wherein every single year on this day specifically, so it's been happening for the past couple years, I read one of the ACOTAR books and I continue the series. And so today I definitely felt like I was missing out looking back on the past couple years, wherein I read the first ACOTAR book and then the second one back to back and whatnot. So today I really wanted to get to the third book and read that. But again, I'm so happy with this book because it's kind of saving me from FOMO, but at the same time now I'm excited to get to that whenever I get to it. So I don't feel bad anymore, and this again saved me, because otherwise I would have fallen in such a slump, which is why again happy I read it. And now I'm gonna call it a break with this long update. So I'll have dinner and see you guys in a bit once we start our next book. But so far, challenge is off to a great start and I'm so happy about it. Hi guys, and welcome to the next day of this challenge. I'm back in my mom's room. Like, I've been for so many updates. At this point, if you look back on the entire challenge, like, yeah, I've been sitting in my room while I've been updating, but most of the other ones have been in here. And so I'm back at it again because for some reason I've been loving this place recently, which is why here I am back in to come in, kind of speak about my book, because I am done. And this one is a really fun one because I wanted to get to it in last week's video as I was reading like a bunch of series that I was in the middle of, but at the moment I was in a bit of like a slump and I didn't want to like have a bad experience with this specifically, because I really like the series despite like conflicting thoughts, which is why I figured I'd keep it off until this week. And I'm so happy I did, because it's perfect timing that I actually got to this. It's the 4th book in the Vancouver Storm series, and the final one actually comes out a week or something like that from today, so I don't have to wait for very long, and I got to read a fun book, which is why happy overall. This is the current last one that's out, so as I wait for the rest of the books, or the last book I think, because then the series is over, I think we can kind of speak about this. And I am sad that the series is coming to an end, because I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of it, but they are definitely like bingeable good books, especially very rom-commy if you want like a palate cleanser, but also something that is worth your time and makes you giggle, and this definitely delivered on that front. It's basically like a marriage of convenience trope. We have Alexei and we have Georgia. And Alexei, the guy, he's actually Russian, playing on the NHL team as the enforcer, so making sure his guys are like on the ice safe and secure from the other teams and kind of making sure that they're like fine. Except he's on the older side, so he's like 36 and stuff, and he's not considering retirement at the moment, but he's definitely making plans for it one day in the future, because people like him, with the kind of, problems he's starting to get, he's probably not got very long left in the NHL. And so as he's making these plans, he realizes that his citizenship in Canada is coming to a close and he doesn't have it secured. And the thing is, like I said, he's Russian and his parents have worked very hard to get him where he is. He doesn't want the payback to be that they all get sent back to Russia and whatnot after he's done playing, because again, they've all built their roots in Canada, they want to stay there, and so he's trying to figure out how to get his citizenship. And so the main answer comes that he'll marry a Canadian, Georgia, and that's his part of the deal. Her part is that she's running this like program in the hospital and whatnot, except the funding gets cut off on that and she doesn't want it to be like completely closed down and whatnot. And so she has the resources to fund it, it's part of her inheritance, she just needs to unlock it, because her family is like a traditional one, at least her grandparents are, and the grandfather who actually left her that inheritance needed her to be required to unlock it or something for like a few months. And so that's her part of the deal. She's marrying him, the person she hates truly the most on the planet, just so she can get that money and continue funding it, because there's like $10 million or something she's getting, so she'll be fine, she'll be well off, she just needs it for the marriage. Except they both hate each other on the surface. You've kind of established that from like the second book in the series, wherein she was introduced and you realize that he truly cannot stand her. He thinks she's like shallow, she just wants the money for shopping and whatnot, and she thinks he's like grumpy and doesn't understand him. But now as they're married and they're pretending to be like newly wed lovebirds and whatnot in public, but then behind closed doors they're not, they're starting to, because in close proximity they're like close by and whatnot, try to figure out the other one's perspective and kind of change their opinion of the other one. And as all of that's happening, they're starting to fall in love, but then again it cannot work because you've got like a set deadline on the marriage and stuff. And so here we are. It's a good book overall, I will say it definitely had some great scenes. He's very jealous at certain bits, and so that was fun to go along with, because he's not sure how committed she is in the whole keeping up with the marriage act, because again, they hate each other. What if she's got someone else waiting for her afterward? And so there's those bits. There's the bits wherein she teases him about how old he is. He's not that old, but she teases him and it's kind of funny, so the banter is really cool. There's also like sweet moments wherein his mom actually works in a flower shop and he used to work with her, kind of help her out at the weekends and whatnot when he was younger, so he knows like flower meanings and stuff. And so every morning he sends like a bouquet delivered to her office and stuff, and one day his mom actually gives her a book that kind of decodes the meaning. And so every time she has like a new bouquet coming in, she's trying to figure out what the meaning is, and that's sweet. And then her high heels and stuff that I was talking about, that he feels is like too shallow and whatnot, one day he gets her own pair designed specifically for her. So like I said, there are cute scenes overall. There's definitely more than this that will make you giggle if you sit down, lock in and try to get through it. It's just, for me personally, the reason this didn't work and the rest of the series also feels made is because the characters already love each other from the very beginning of the book, and so the entire book feels like a build-up until they finally confess that they love each other and get together. So like a bunch of filler montage scenes, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I like reading about characters falling in love, not already in love, if that makes sense. And so the series overall, if you asked me to like rank it for you, I couldn't give you a ranking, because it's good to read if you want something quick to get through. It's just they all feel the same to me, like copy-paste versions of each other with different tropes thrown in, because it's the same every single time. And I'm not complaining, I still have a good time reading. It's just sometimes I wish we had more again established of the fact that they were falling in love, they already didn't like each other, because this one I had high hopes for because they hate each other from the beginning. But then again, as you read it, you figure out the hate was just a facade for the crushes that they have and they aren't ready to admit, which is why here we are. Regardless of everything, I did finish it out. This was a quick one to get through, and I'm happy I did, because now I can read the last one in the series when it does come out and I'll be done with it. It's just, again, this was a bit disappointing because I expected more, but regardless, I had a good time reading overall anyway. And like I said, can't believe the series is coming to an end, so here we are anyway with that. I'm gonna give this one 3.5 stars. It's good, it's not the best, it's still better than the previous one in the series, so that one I truly hated, and I had a good time overall considering the fact that he's Russian, so he has like Russian nicknames he's making up for her. And when you truly figure out the meaning of those, it's hilarious because I don't know Russian, so every time he speaks in it and he's calling her stuff, and when the meaning gets revealed, it's hilarious. So again, banter is great. It's just there's certain bits that I wish, were paced better, but otherwise it's a good book overall, and I'm done with it now. For context, I did go ahead and start this yesterday night, and I finished very early today in the early afternoon, I'd say, which is why I had most of the day free to kind of finish off other errands and assignments I needed done for college that I couldn't really be listening to an audiobook to as I worked, because those need like my full dedication and attention, which is why, again, on top of things, clearing my plate out, which is why I'm feeling really great about right now. But now that this is done, and now that I have everything else out of the way, tonight again I want to lock in and do the same thing. So like start tomorrow's book early and hopefully get it done early and be on track to finishing this challenge on time, which is why that's probably what I'll do. And so I'll see you guys directly tomorrow now once I have like more updates on the next book. It's just now onwards I'm gonna go back to like picking up thrillers. I only picked this one up because I couldn't fit it in like last week's video and I really wanted to get to it bad. Now I'll actually give myself what I want, read those thrillers, and that's what I'll be doing right now. So hopefully tonight we can do all of that, we can wrap it up and get to more. But so far, yeah, it feels weird that we're still in the last week of it and we're gonna be done with this challenge soon. But crossing my fingers, I still find the best of reads and have the best time ever, because that's truly just the end goal. So I'll get to it now. I'll go start tomorrow's book and I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow itself once it's done and once I have hopefully great things to say about it. Because so far, again, all I want is a good book, and hopefully that'll deliver. So see you guys tomorrow and bye. Hi guys, and now welcome to the next day. Gone ahead, finished the next book out, literally locked in and had the best time ever. I was reading up from like the point yesterday when I stopped off and whatnot, and then continued all the way into today. I was going back and forth from Kindle and the audiobook because the Kindle copy was actually sent to me by the publisher, so thank you so much for that. And in the middle of everything else, I'm done now. So this one's called Love Mom. It's like this psychological sort of thriller, so it's kind of perfect for the mood I was currently in. And all I'll say is thrillers are not disappointing lately. They all seem to hit, because this one, again, it was so good. Basically, we follow this girl called Mackenzie, and she's got this thing wherein she loves like writing stories and whatnot, and she's great and she's smart, and maybe she'll go somewhere with that one day. Except every time she does it, she's always overshadowed by her mom, because her mom is like a best-selling thriller crime author, whatnot. So she feels like truly she'll go nowhere in comparison to what success her mom has achieved in the sort of literary world and whatnot. Except one day, as it turns out, her mom dies, and then the people who are her fans and whatnot online start speculating whether her death is connected and it's in a gruesome way linking back to the twisted murder she writes about, or if it truly just was an accident. And Mackenzie, she thinks nothing of it, except on the first day of the mother's like memorial service and whatnot, she starts getting these like letters that say, "From your number one fan, XOXO," and they're all like pages of her mom's past like teenage diary. And so she doesn't know who this fan is. She doesn't know how they've got access to her late mother's diary, and she doesn't know what the point of the letters are. She just keeps reading it and she keeps going through these diary pages because they keep coming. All right, every few days or so, new letters keep pouring in with continued pages, kind of building up to the story of the sequence of the diary. And suddenly she learns that, number one, she doesn't really know everything that she had to know about her mom, and all her mom's stories are not as it seems. Number two, the kind of books she's written is kind of, inspired from real stuff and not like thrillers she concocted in her mind. And number three, there's like so many family secrets that right now her mom's death, there's something behind it. There's something that links up all the way through it. And one thing that you do learn throughout this book is the fact that obviously murder is a bad thing, but there's things that can be done that are worse than murder. And so it's kind of detailed in a sequence over here. And all I'll say is I have seen mixed opinions on this one specifically online, which is why it's taken me so long to get to it, despite the fact that it came to me like before it was published and whatnot. Because on TikTok, everyone seems to be loving it. Everyone on short form for some reason seems to be loving it. But when you look up like YouTube and Goodreads reviews, people don't have such great things to say about it. And so I really just went in with an open mind, not expecting too much. And all I'll say is mind blown. Because for some reason, I don't know why, maybe I'm just dumb, because I didn't see that coming. As the plot twists were unfurling, that's when I started to guess and caught on to what was going on. But otherwise, it was insane to me. I had the best time ever. Chapters were short and they would always end on some sort of cliffhanger, so you had that innate like instinct in you to just keep reading and see where it goes. And the writing style is bingeable, quick to get through. It's like an easy palate cleanser, nothing too heavy on the brain, but it's still fun to like go along with. And it really felt like I was listening to like a crime show, trying to figure out what's going down, because there's so much like stuff happening in it that you don't really understand how it connects, but once it does, truly insane and you cannot go back. And if you want a book that kind of reminds you of Freida McFadden's books, because for some reason it just gave me those vibes, this one's perfect. It delivered on every single front. I had the best time ever, and I'm gonna give it 4 stars. So already great book is unlocked again. So happy to have got through with it. And again, like I said, binged it in a couple settings, was not able to put it down because I feel like after the original like 20% mark, after the story is finally built up, you don't have it in you to put the book down because it's just so intriguing and you just want to see where it goes next. And again, the turns it takes, I did not guess it. I had a good time with it, and personally it was a fun book to go along with. So I read this one basically. Again, same drill is gonna repeat for the day. I'm gonna go have dinner and then come back in tonight, lock in with our next book. Maybe I'll pick up something on audio this time and not my Kindle again, or we'll just have to see because I do have some journal work to be working on, but we'll just have to again figure that out. But regardless, tonight I do want to get in some more reading, so I'll just go ahead, start tomorrow's book and whatnot, continue, see where it goes, and hopefully we'll find great reads continuing on throughout, because honestly for some reason it feels like all the best books of my TBR stacked up are coming up in the finale of this challenge, so we have a good send-off, which is perfect to me because that's all I literally wanted. So here we are. I will start tomorrow's book now and then hopefully be done early tomorrow so I can come give you an update. But so far so good, already having a great time, and that was today's update, and now I'm gonna go. Bye. So I did end up having to go record that other video to post, but now I'm back to continue and finish off this challenge specifically. But here we are. I have gone ahead and finished the next book for this video. Again, did not take any days in the middle to get to reading. Stuck to the days that were for this video, so you don't have to worry about that. But here I am now to come speak to you about the next one, which is called, I think it's Brimstone. I'm not really sure if that's the name, but it's the second one in the Quicksilver series. Again, don't know the name of that series, but here we are anyway. For context, I did read Quicksilver, which is like a bigger fantasy length book because it is a fantasy, back during like my Bookmas recording videos and stuff. So it was done earlier in the month of December, something like that. I read it towards the end of November, and that's when I posted the vlog. And so it's been a little bit since I've gone back to that world specifically and picked those books up. But the thing is, I really remember enjoying that one specifically because of the things that happen in that, which made me realize that I need to get to this one faster so I don't actually forget what happened in that, and then have to go back and reread, because it wasn't like my favorite. I don't want to go and reread it because I do remember the middle being like extremely long. But then I figured maybe I'll just pick this up, see where it continues, because I did remember the way that one specifically ends. Biggest cliffhanger, it was so insane, would never have guessed it. There's like a whole shift in the power dynamics, and so figured I'd pick this one up. Again, this is a longer book, which is why I did not do the mistake I did a few weeks ago when I was reading fantasy on my Kindle and hoping for the best. No, I did actually go ahead and listen to this on audio, because otherwise there'd be no way possible that I can finish the whole thing in a day without absolutely suffering. But for a quick premise, I won't be speaking about this one. I'll be speaking about Quicksilver itself, the first one in the series, just in case you haven't read Quicksilver yet, because I don't want to spoil this one for anyone. But basically that one, so the first one in this series overall, we follow this girl called Ceres. She lives in this land where there's like 2 suns, so it's like unbearably hot, and the kind of resources they have are scarce because of that. So it's kind of classified by wards and stuff, and she's in the ward of the almost like backward sort of people who are very scarce with the resources, so they don't really have a lot, and what they do have is kind of like the leftovers from the other wards, because we have like a classification system again. So there's like elites and then there's them, wherein they basically get like leftovers and scraps of it, and they have to kind of deal with it and live with it. So in her ward, basically they would kill for like the barest of resource just because they don't get it in proper access and supply. And so we have Ceres, who would literally fight to the death for a glass of water just because of those 2 suns. Except she has this thing wherein she has powers that no one really knows about, and she kind of uses it to her advantage to kind of steal from the queen. So the queen is the one who's at the top of the elite chain, kind of controlling all the resources, and Ceres is kind of taking it for herself and her brother. Except one day as she's doing this, she actually gets caught by the queen's guard because she's stealing one of their like gauntlets and stuff in broad daylight for the massive gold that she'd get out of it. And so now retribution is promised. She's taken in to be punished in the queen's like castle and whatnot. Except as she's taken there, she activates this like thing called the Quicksilver pool, which essentially is like the portal to other realms and whatnot. It's basically magical, and because of her magic she's able to like open it, and through that basically walks Death incarnate. So he's called Kingfisher, and he's like a fae. And for context, the queen and the fae have been fighting for a little bit. this is like one of the lesser battles, and so she had the Quicksilver kind of closed off in her castle so they couldn't like walk through. But now that Sirius has activated it, the guys, the Fae, realize that she has powers that they can use, and so they have to kind of come through and take her along to their lands, which kind of saves her from the Queen's punishment. But at the same time, now she ends up in a much worse place, because as she's taken through to the other lands on the other side of the Quicksilver portal, as it turns out, they are in the middle of like war and stuff for like, at this point, centuries long conflict. And suddenly, because she used her powers to activate the pool, they realize that she has other powers that can be used in the war for their favor and whatnot, especially because they are not necessarily on the losing side, but they're not really making good progress on it, and they haven't been for a few centuries at this point, again draining their own resources out. So the deal that's cracked up is that she needs to spend her life kind of helping them out. And keep in mind, she's a human, she needs to stay as long as she can in these Fae lands and whatnot, kind of helping their war, except in the middle of everything, she has her own lifespan that's shorter than theirs, obviously, and she needs to get back home to her brother, kind of figure out how to kind of leave. But at the same time, as she's staying there, she's kind of forging alliances with these Fae, so she wants to help the good ones as well. And then there's a whole set of like politics and, you know, again, a whole system in this land specifically that she needs to stay aware of, because anyone would kill her outside of the castle, especially because she's got like powers that, you know, she isn't specifically supposed to have. She's like a human, and we have that plot line. And then this one specifically, Brimstone, the second one, for like a quick non-spoiler chat, it follows the events right after Quicksilver, because we have like the biggest plot twist at the end of that one. But again, it's not the best time ever, because while we do have like power dynamic changes and different shifts in the storyline, I feel like it just feels like the same monotonous repetition of Quicksilver, almost with like different things thrown in. And this whole book, honestly, to me felt like filler, because I wish I was joking. Looking it up online on Goodreads, everyone seems to have given it 5 stars, loved it. But for me personally, this was nothing more than 3. I'm so sorry. But the entire time I was going along with it, I was waiting for like progress on the plot, specifically the main overarching plot over the series theme, because, you know, there's like other bigger things going on in the world, and so I wanted to see where that would end up. But then, just like Quicksilver, this felt like there were like a bunch of side quests kind of leading up to form the main plot of this book until the very end, wherein you're actually getting stuff you came for. And so because of that, none of it really kept my attention, because I just couldn't care less for the side shit that was going on. And, you know, there was that sprinkled in with romance, but then again could not care less for it, because it's very physical. I don't really care. I need an emotional bond. And so in the middle of everything else, yes, they did end up falling very short. It's kind of sad, because Quicksilver, for me, the beginning was great, the middle was extremely long. It felt like 4 fantasy books long, and then the ending was amazing. The cliffhanger truly threw me off, and I just wanted to get to this one soon. And I felt lucky that I read Quicksilver after this one was released, so I wouldn't have to wait however long between like publication dates. But looking back, if I was to have read Quicksilver when it originally came out and then have waited like a year, couple years until this came, I wish I was joking. I'd genuinely be disappointed, because this wasn't worth any sort of wait, in my opinion. It just wasn't the best time ever. And so here we are. This one specifically, again, like the timeline of Quicksilver, the beginning was interesting, trying to figure out what was going on, but then right after that, it slowly got into the monotony of repetition, and then again it picked up at the very end. So here we are anyway. The only person I truly stayed for was this one character called Callie and Swift, because he's hilarious, and their fox called Onyx. But otherwise, what else am I truly supposed to say? Not much truly happened throughout, and you know, it kind of feels disappointing that I went through this whole full-length book, 700 pages almost, to figure out that conclusion, and now have to wait another, I don't even know how many months for the next book to come out, which is why I'm not sure if I want to continue the series. When the next one does come out, we'll probably read like spoiler reviews of both of these books again to like refresh my memory, and then see what people are saying for the third book before I get into it, because otherwise I don't think I'll be picking it up blindly anymore, simply because it wasn't fun anymore. So it really has to hold my attention. It really has to like stand out amongst like the court of public opinion for me to actually pick it up. But until then, here we are anyway. I'm done with it finally, and all I'm gonna say is I was really thoroughly disappointed, which means I should just go back to sticking with genres that work for me. I keep repeating that and I don't stick with it, but here we are anyway. At the moment though, my brain is fried, so I might have to go pick up like a romance or something easy to get through with, so that my brain just does not collapse. And so we'll just have to see what I'm reading tomorrow. But that's the update for today basically, because did not have a great time. So that was my update for Brimstone. I am done with it now, and I don't have anything great to say about it, which is why here we are anyway. Now that this is done, moving along, I will go start tomorrow's book. Hopefully something on Kindle now, because I want to just have something quick to get through with over here, because I'm done with listening to audio. The audiobook of this was great, but I couldn't care less about either of the narrators at some point, which is why maybe Kindle will save me in a different genre, so we'll just have to see. But that's the update. I'm gonna go now, and I'll see you guys in a bit once the next book is done. So bye. Hi guys, and now welcome to the very next day, because I logged in again, started reading on my Kindle. I knew I wanted something easy and like almost cheesy and breezy sort of, so like I'm rhyming right now, but something like that to get through with, because I was done with the fantasy we read, and then the fact that it was like frying my brain cells. I wanted something quick and something that wouldn't take too much brain power, and so I chose a Kindle romance, and the one I actually ended up going with is called Most Ardently Yours. But for context, if you want to go pick it up, I do believe this is not out at the moment. It was actually an arc that I was reading out of. So firstly, thank you to the publishers for sending it my way. And secondly, I do believe it comes out on July the 7th or something like that. I'll have like the date on screen in case you want to go get it yourselves. But all I'm going to say is this is one you have to get to no matter what, because it's so random. It was just on my Kindle. I had no idea what the plot was about, anything. I just figured the cover looks cool and I'm really in the mood for something like that. So I figured might as well pick it up, because I've never actually read anything by this author, but I do have a couple of their books on my TBR and stuff, and so I figured this would be like a good sample taste test almost before I get into those, figure out if I even like her writing style, whatever. So basically I ended up choosing this to go with, and I'm so happy I did, because this was everything I'd ever want from like a book. Basically we follow this girl called Zoe, and she, while her last relationship ended like really badly, her ex is a absolute piece of shit and whatnot, she still is a hopeless romantic that still has not been dulled in her the spark. The only thing is now she doesn't like look for real men and stuff. She's kind of sick and pissed over them. She's done with them. At this point, all she longs for is her book boyfriends. So she is a hopeless romantic, but she's just like us, wherein she's lost hope and whatnot in the real world. She's very much more interested in specifically Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, because she believes that a book boyfriend can never let you down, which is true. But we have the dilemma of the story that's introduced, wherein she has this thing wherein every time she commutes back and forth from work, so like walking on the way and whatnot, there's this bookstore that comes every single time. It's like a small business and whatnot, locally owned. And the thing is, every time she walks by, she and her best friend kind of call it dicklit. That's the only stuff that's displayed in like the outdoor shelves and stuff to be sold. And you know, she doesn't really know much about it. She doesn't really care, because it's just something that passes her by every day on her commute, every day as she's just like walking by on the, I guess, like outer edge, almost non-consciousness of her thoughts and whatnot. Except one day as it starts raining and she decides she's gonna just go seek shelter in there because she doesn't have like an umbrella, she ends up running in there and kind of has this confrontation almost with the owner of the store, Nick, and she ends up arguing with him, asking him why he does not sell romance, because that's the kind of topic that comes up. And so she's asking him if he knows all these like romance writers like Emily Henry and I don't know, Abby Jimenez, and she's asking him why he does not put those for sale specifically, because he's got everything that can probably be written by men or stuff like literally general fiction and stuff, even like thrillers and sci-fi and whatnot. He's just not got romance. And so as she's questioning him, she starts to realize that she does not like this guy because he is an absolute romance hating asshole. And she, like we said, we already established, she's obsessed with her book boyfriends. So as she's like, you know, walking out of the store and stuff, she sees this one copy of Pride and Prejudice lying on the shelves, and she's just like, wait a second, he doesn't like romance, but there's one copy in his store. And what the hell? Why does he have it in the first place? Because he said he'll never stock it. And so she decides, like any rational woman would do, to kind of steal that copy from the shop and run away with it. So she liberates the copy from being under the hold of such like an asshole. And so she takes it along with her. She runs away, whatever. And as it turns out, this copy is not normal. That's the whole reason why, you know, he was telling her not to take it and just leave it alone and whatnot. It's not for sale, but she still took it out and ran away with it. And also why there was only one copy and by mistake, because it's actually magical, she thinks, because as she's starting to read it and she reads from its pages, as it turns out, Mr. Darcy from that copy of Pride and Prejudice, she somehow summons him into her real life. So she's in modern London and she kind of summons him into her life, and suddenly he's everything she'd ever want. He's basically picked up from the book and pasted in her real life. He behaves and dresses and speaks like the Mr. Darcy from the book. It's just, he now is trying to navigate modern London, because there's like a lot of differences between modern era and what was written in that that book specifically. So like figure out how the buses and the metro and train station works, and how people are interacting these days, and everything else that comes with it. He's watching shows with her landlady, and he's doing all these fun things and eating food that, she's cooking, not his butler and whatnot. And so there's like a bunch of things happening as he's trying to integrate into her life at the moment, because he's literally stuck there. He can't go back in. And now in the middle of everything, as this is happening, she's actually starting to wonder what's going to happen to the book he came out of, because he literally left that story and he's in this world now very much as a real man. So is that going to just crumble down to shreds and whatnot? And so as she goes back to that shop to seek Nick's help, he is urging her to send Darcy back into the book. She doesn't want to do it. They are butting heads and whatnot, and we have that story. And all I'm going to say is, this was like nothing I've ever read. Genuinely one of my already favorite reads to come out of this whole year. This might even be my favorite book of the month. I'm not sure, between this Caught Up, the first one we read for this entire challenge and whatnot at the beginning of this year, and the Natural series, because it's as good as those. And what pisses me off is the fact that it's not out yet, so I can't like beg you all to go read it, which means you guys just have to wait till the day it comes out, and please pick it up, because this is everything you'd ever want. There's enough like women's fiction thrown in there as you're going along with her life and her struggles. Then there's like hope and all the friendship and stuff that comes with it, but then there's also like a sprinkle of romance, and then there's like mystery wherein the whole thing with the book and whatnot. And this was perfect to me. If you love books, this book could be your newest favorite book, because I'm gonna be so for real, this was literally written, I feel, with the author keeping in mind book lovers and stuff. It literally feels like a love letter to anyone who is a reader out there, because this one, again, it hit every aspect that you'd ever ask and wish for. So many feelings I've had as a reader before have been literally written down on the page the way I've ever felt them, so perfectly. But then not just that, we have like different references to real life books. So there's like moments when she's speaking about real authors in the books, and it kind of correlates to our world, so you can kind of relate if you've read them and whatnot, and other things going on. And towards the end of the book, she actually ends up mentioning this one called The Love of My Afterlife, which if you don't know, I read that last year as one of my final like standalone romances, and it was 5 stars for me. So getting to see that in this book, and then a bunch of other books that I've loved, and watching like author references and stuff, already I was having the time of my life. But then we have all the other scenes with like Darcy and he trying to figure out modern day, which is so funny. And then the sweet scenes, the swoony bits between her and Nick, and the whole story and everything that comes with it, that I loved it. I had such a good time with every second. I'm telling you, toward like the halfway point, the story definitely takes like a different turn, and there's stuff that you wouldn't expect happening. And then again, towards the end, like the last few chapters, I was really scared as to how it would, kind of pick off and whatnot, because the anxiety was bad considering the fact that I wasn't sure if we were getting a happy ending. But I should not have worried, because this was perfect the way it was. People might find it cheesy, but for me, it was exactly what I needed in the moment, and I'm so happy I got to it. And yeah, this, I think I'm gonna give it like 4.5 stars easy. The best time ever. And you might even also like this if you've loved Pride and Prejudice, because there's like a bunch of references to that in this. The only problem I have with this book specifically is the amount of references, because I haven't ever read Pride and Prejudice, and I really want to after having read this book. I want to go watch the movies and do everything related to that, because this actually made me a fangirl. The only problem is I definitely feel like the references were a little too much on the point of spoiling things for you. Certain scenes in Pride and Prejudice and certain like plot points, which now makes me wonder if I should kind of hold off on Pride and Prejudice. I will read it, but kind of read it a few months down the line rather than immediately right now, so that I actually forget specific details, and then I can go back into that with a fresh mind. Because apart from the spoilers for that specifically, this is literally perfect. Could have been 5 stars. And yeah, here we are anyway. I had the best time ever. Definitely consider that if you do want to read this, because that would definitely get spoiled for you if you want to read that too. So if you're reading, read that first and then get into this. But regardless, if you are a fan though, this could definitely be the kryptonite you need for your fandom to go fangirl over stuff. And it was perfect to me. So I can't wait for the day it's like published and whatnot, and the mass can read it and whatnot. And then after that, we can get all the like edits and stuff on Pinterest coming up with like book aesthetics and stuff for this book, and I get more, I guess, like fodder for like my fangirl material, which is perfect. And so until then I'll be waiting, but this was perfect to me. 4.5 stars, like I said, the best time ever, and I cannot recommend this enough. It literally gave me the Love of My Afterlife vibes, if you like that book, because it's like a 5 star for me, and no one's ever made me feel that way, so it's kind of perfect to me. Had the best time ever. And now that we're done with this, I'll go move on to our next book. Not really sure what I'm in the mood for, but after already coming off the high of such like a great book, I just want like another good one and want to be on a roll for the final days now of the challenge. So we'll have to see what I do, but this was the update for today, and I'm gonna go now start tomorrow's book, and I'll come very soon to update you guys on what happened, what we end up reading, and my thoughts on the next one. So until then, bye. Hi guys, and welcome to the next day. Again, staying on track and on theme, on keeping with time and whatnot, especially with the fact that we need to actually buck up now that we are reaching the end of the challenge. There's only like 3 full days left. I had to go ahead and lock in today the entire day to finish today's book out, and I'm done at this point, which means later in the night now I can have like an early start on like tomorrow and day after's books or whatnot. But the best part is today, regardless, I had like the best time binging the book. I didn't have the best time with the book, but I had the best time binging it, and so now I've come in to update about that, because ever since I got back from college this like morning and whatnot, took my Kindle, I've been locked in, and I wasn't able to put it down, so I'm done at this point. I ended up picking up one of Freida McFadden's like older books on her backlist because I'm actually trying to get through it, and this one's called Brain Damage because it was on my Kindle downloaded, and I had like a whole list of like her entire backlog downloaded, but this one for some reason was calling my name in the moment, so I figured might as well just go with it. And it's a really interesting like concept for like a story. Basically we follow this doctor, Charlie, whatever. She has like the best, most amazing life because she's got the, glamorous doctor job, even though it's like a skin doctor, but it's still great and whatnot. She's married to like a good looking lawyer guy, so that's also amazing. And then she owns her own like apartment in the rich part of New York. I think it's like overlooking Central Park and whatnot, and it's like 2 bedrooms, so like extremely luxurious and spacious. And she's got that all with her accomplished at this stage in her life, wherein suddenly everything looks to be rolling and perfect for her. Except one day, as she's getting back home from work, it's kind of late and whatnot, she opens the door to her apartment, someone shoots her in the head, and suddenly now there's like a bullet lodged in the right side of her brain and whatnot, and she might die and whatnot. She doesn't know what's going on, she blacks out, and then the next thing you know, she's waking up in like an emergency room and stuff, and she's being told that she was shot in the head, she was shot in the right part, so now she can't really function with the left side of her body, so she can't see anything on that side, cannot operate her hand, cannot like walk anymore. Lots of like daily functions are very much disturbed. But despite the fact that all of this has happened, she still managed to survive and make it. The only problem now is that because the bullet hit her at the point where it did in her brain, the kind of memories she had associated with that event she cannot recall, and so now she doesn't really know who was the one who shot her in the first place and who is after her life, because that person is definitely going to come back and try to finish the job. It's up to her to kind of piece the clues together and figure out who it was before it's too late, and also kind of adjust to like the hospital life and everything else that's going on. And all I'll say is it was a fun one again to go along with. I love reading her books, her entire backlist, for the whole reason that they get through so fast. Alright, I started and then look up at some point, and then I look down at like the progress counter and I'm already like halfway through, and it hasn't even been that long. So that's definitely something going in its favor. I feel like all her books are that way. They are like popcorn thrillers, so they go by really fast, and that's the whole point. Maybe the end is like a hit or miss, it doesn't really matter, depends on like the specific book and whatnot, but the whole moment leading up to it, the progress getting there, the means, that's the most fun part, because you're like on the edge of your seat trying to figure it out like a little detective with all the clues being thrown your way. And it's always psychological. There's always like the small aspect that comes back to haunt you later, which is really fun. It's just for this one specifically, it was kind of like a miss, because I feel like the whole pacing, yeah, it was fun to get through with, but I was more interested in the past plot line, so the part where she got shot and whatnot, not the present where she was in brain damage recovery, which it makes sense for the story, but I feel like those scenes definitely could have been cut shorter. It was a little longer than it had to have been, and we had like 3 chapters of like present recovery and stuff going back to 1 chapter of past, and that 1 chapter was very vague, ends off like randomly and whatnot. So in that sense I wish we got more, and the pacing in this one specifically was better, but otherwise I still had a good time. The end plot twist that is revealed to you, I did not guess like one specific thing out of it, but apart from it, the overall plot twist also was a little disappointing, because it was kind of obvious. It wasn't like the gut punch her books usually are for me, but I still had a fun time going along with it, especially because this book is so funny. Like you wouldn't expect it with like a book wherein she's been shot in the head and whatnot, but there's like actual scenes I was giggling aloud because of how just ridiculously hilarious it gets. So if you do want to pick this up, definitely go ahead. It was a great one to read, and again, I'm back on my mystery thriller kick because I'm having the best time with these books these days, which is perfect because this gave me everything it had to otherwise. And so I'm gonna give it 3 stars only because of the pacing and everything else that I said, but otherwise I still had like a great time reading, and I can't wait to go ahead and get through more for like her backlist and stuff. But I am kind of sad that there's only like a few books left for me to get to at this point, because after that that, what do you mean I have to wait like the normal public every like few months every time she publishes a book? I can't get to one when I feel like it. So that's gonna hurt, but until then I will still go and keep binging these on Kindle and having the best time. And again, this was a fun one, little longer than it should have been, but otherwise I had a great time overall. I was locked in, my entire attention span was completely dedicated to it, did not have the urge to pick up my phone even once, and that hasn't happened for a while now. So that's always still a great sign of like an author being able to hook you from the beginning, and I definitely felt that way and I'm happy I did. So this is great. Again, if you want something feel like a reading slump and whatnot, if you want something quick to get through with, and if you want something that will keep you guessing to the very end. So here we are, I'm done with this now, and I'm gonna go again have dinner, come lock in for tomorrow's book, get like a progress start on that, and see you guys in a bit once I'm done with that. But that was the update for today, and again, all good things to say so far. Hopefully the challenge just ends off on this sort of like happy good note, but we'll just have to see what I end up choosing. I have a fun one in mind, but that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow now. Bye. Hi guys, and welcome to the last day for this specific video, because I know there's 2 books left, but I actually ended up skipping yesterday. I did come in and read and I did finish our book. It's just I didn't come in for an update. So I need to speak about yesterday's book, I need to speak about today's book, because that's done at this point too. And then now this is basically the finale, because we are done with this vlog, this entire challenge then, and that's so surreal to say because I've been doing it for so many months now, but it's done now. So to update you, basically since the last time I came in, I did read yesterday's book and I did read today's book, and they're both part of the same series, which is why I was kind of saving them to be read together, so I have like a good conclusion, a good like say off, and I guess goodbye to this video specifically. And that is the Natural series, because I did start it within the span of this entire mini series, and so only makes sense that I read it towards the end of it and kind of give it as a grand finale, because I knew these books are gonna hit really bad, and I wanted something that gives me these hard feelings, especially at the end of the challenge and whatnot, something that gives us the proper send-off, which is why I ended up getting to Bad Blood, the final full-length book in this series yesterday. I'll have it on screen. And then today I read the little extended novella that you got, which is called 12, and I'm gonna review both of these together because both of them are so far into the series. This is book 4 and that's book 5, I believe, that I don't want to ruin specific bits for you, which is why they're getting their own like together sort of non-spoiler review. But here we are anyway. This overarching series and whatnot, it follows these teenage kids who are being recruited by the FBI and whatnot, because they have these like sort of natural skills that come to them in the way that they can be used to solve like cold cases and murders and stuff, except somehow they always get involved in some sort of active investigation at the same time, and now they're trying to use their skills to kind of help but also not run out of time, because somehow once they get involved the killers start running after these guys too, and they're just teenagers with some special powers, so they need to kind of, you know, figure things out, kind of figure out the motives and why things are going on, and you know how to stop it, because the murders somehow there's always like a string of them interconnecting, and you know, save all the people involved. And it's really fun because one of them is like a profiler, actually 2 of them are, I'm so sorry. There's like an emotional like reader and whatnot, there's like a lie detector, there's one person who's really good with numbers. I love Sloan. But basically the entire series overall is like a fun combination of like a YA mystery, but it's done so well with like fast pacedness and with like high stakes, to the point where if you're in a slump, these are perfect to pick up, because like they go by in no time whatsoever. Locked in with my headphones, one sitting, finished both of them out, and it was a fun time overall. So the first one, this one, Bad Blood, up on screen, I am gonna give it like, I'm thinking 4.5 stars again. This one is kind of involving them with like a cult and stuff, so it's very interesting, but I don't want to tell you details because I don't want to spoil like the things that have led up in the series to this. But it's kind of like a grand finale of all books, and this one storyline you've been seeing since the very beginning now finally getting its time to shine. And so that was that. 12, however, the novella, I think I'm gonna give this like 3.5 stars, simply because this felt like an extended epilogue. Like, yeah, it made sense, but I wish it was like a full-length book more, because at some point I was able to guess the twist myself, and I pride myself in this whole series, specifically apart from 12, to have not been able to guess like a single twist whatsoever, which is why I just want something crazy. I feel like because it was smaller in length, because it felt like an epilogue, I was definitely able to like see where it was going, and it wasn't too crazy and whatnot. It was definitely fun. It was definitely nice to see them all grown up and what they're doing with their lives, and you know, a little bittersweet and sad overall, but it was still a fun book because you actually get to watch a different character who was introduced, I think, in the second book and whatnot, before like their main case in that book kind of come back in this one. That character is a kid who in their hometown and whatnot, she's watching like a bunch of teenagers commit suicides, and she believes that it's like not way it seems. She thinks someone pushed them off, and so now she's standing herself at the edge of this like lighthouse, threatening to jump if someone doesn't come to like figure the case out. And so they enter the naturals and whatnot, and it was really fun seeing them like one last time all come together, all grown up, solving the case and whatnot. But I still, like I said, I guessed it, and because it was shorter in length, it didn't like build up the way the other ones do in the series. So I feel like it was a fun time overall. I definitely love seeing all the clues laid out throughout the entire series and connecting them back and forth throughout the entire series. But this one specifically, again, not my favorite. It was good, but it was like a good glimpse into seeing the characters rather than enjoying the mystery, which is why it's 3.5. And now we are done with these books. So all I'm gonna say is such a fun journey overall, because I love reading the entire series. At this point, looking back, I'm not sure if I want physical copies anymore, because I only am trying to collect copies of books at this point wherein I know I'm going to go back and reread them, and they're all, it's like a 5-star series, but none of them specifically is a 5-star. Again, nothing wrong with that, and also because it's like a bigger series, I'm hesitating because I'm not really sure if I'll ever go back and reread. But regardless, it's still like a fun series overall, and at some point I can't wait to like force my sister into reading it, because this definitely looks like something up her alley, and it's a good time overall. So I had a fun time. I'm happy to conclude, and now we are done with these books. We are done with the books of the video, and we've reached the end of this vlog. Hopefully you guys had like a fun time coming along with me today for the finale, but also kind of coming along with me with every single video I've made in the lineup for reading 50 books in 50 days, because with that we have reached the end of this video. We have concluded, and I have gone ahead and read 50 books in 50 days. Feels insane. I'm already so ahead of my reading goal that, you know, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, anyway, we have reached the end of this video. If you guys did have like a fun time coming along with me, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube please, you know how to do them. And if you've got more like series recommendations that you'd like me to start, because now that I have finished this, I don't have any more series going at the moment, and I definitely am considering starting another couple or so, because they're always so fun to go back and record for. Let me know in the comments so I can like do what y'all want, kind of mix my own ideas in, and kind of make this like fun blend that we can always come back to every other week. But now that this entire series is done, I'll be going back to my regularly scheduled like programming. So basically the vlogs I record on a regular basis that are not part of this, which is why I'll see you guys now directly in next week's video, which is going to be a basic reading vlog, not part of the series, but it's going to be a fun one regardless, because I've been waiting like the whole month to film it, and now it's time. So until then, take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys now directly next week for next week's video, next week's vlog. And until then, thank you so much for coming along with me with this entire series and the whole journey that it was, and bye.